a gym for warriors and civilians, most of whom are missing limbs. They are my heroes, my tribe, my family. I started it 2 years ago because I was missing something too. It's called the Adaptive Training Foundation, or ATF.
A new kind of courage.
The crazy thing is, I had someone tell me that, it's not if you're going to get breached anymore, it's when you're going to get breached or whether you realize you have been already.
Sean Shinneman, the technology reporter at the Dallas Business Journal, just wrote this article on cybersecurity and how it's affecting Texas companies, which can face expensive penalties from the state if their data is breached and they fail to notify consumers. The catch is, they don't have to tell the state in the first place if they have been breached.
I'm not necessarily saying that there's tons of data breaches where these companies aren't notifying their consumers. It's impossible really to say that. Right. But that's kind of the point, right? That
we don't really know.
We don't know, exactly. So how do you provide oversight if you don't really know how often something's occurring?
His reporting found that the Texas Attorney General's office has yet to use that power to levy a fine against a company for failure to notify consumers that their cyber data was compromised. But does it do any good to let people know anyway? Consulting firm Javelin found that 42% of consumers think that those warning notifications you get when your data is compromised are really just a way for companies to cover themselves. And surveys suggest that many people who get those warnings don't even bother signing up for the free identity monitoring. Some experts call that breach fatigue.
I think certainly breach fatigue is probably an issue. I mean, the research we've done in the past shows, high numbers of people getting multiple notifications per year, right, of breaches. So, I mean, if it was a retail breach followed by a healthcare breach followed by, something else, it's like it can be pretty tiring.
Michael Kaiser, the executive director of the National Cybersecurity Alliance, says a big problem is still that passwords are often too weak and overused.
Password hygiene is still pretty low in this country.
But he describes cybersecurity awareness as improving now.
I think, in 5 years ago, it would have been needs desperate help.
Still, he says businesses and consumers need to be a lot more careful with their data. Jason Wheeler, Channel 8 News.
Imagine the lives of a boy and a girl like a cross-country train trip. She's from Italy, he's from Holland. They meet in the small town of Orange, Texas.
We met in Orange, Texas, if you know where that is.
Which could be right here, or here, or here, maybe even here. 48 years of marriage is as smooth as the track.
He's perfect in every way.
He builds her the house, and then he builds his dream.
This was always his dream.
Well, I'm a big movie buff, and also he put a movie theater in there for me.
If you take a look at it, you can see where he's got some of the windows open.
You can't separate Paul Dumise from his garage project or his family.
This is my favorite area.
It's obvious. When his daughter Denise looks at it, she doesn't think of the Shiner billboard or the Adams Hats building. She thinks about
my dad, how much he loved him.
It's like she's staring into his eyes when she looks across his 16-year work of art.
He was amazing. He passed 3 months ago of lung cancer. And it's a shame that you didn't get to meet him. Very wonderful person. One of a kind, that's for sure.
The work has stopped in his workshop.
It's painful, as you can see, everything that you see here is the way he left it. And he's been gone 3 months now.
He built a kingdom with tweezers through a magnifying glass.
Model railroaders are nuts.
Like buildings he built from scratch, sometimes from pieces of cardboard he'd get from the post office, or disposable razor handles he saw as pillars.
And he had a love of trains since he was a small boy.
He was one of a kind. Ask Ken Claviter, who came over to the garage every week for 15 years.
I was over here once a week.
Who finds himself here again now.
But he definitely is a master model builder.
So I asked him one day, Dad, what would you think about this being in a museum or a children's hospital where someone could view it and admire it? And he said, well, that's a good idea. And he says, of course, they'd have to take that wall out. He was thinking ahead.
That's what the family wants. Other people to see this, because it's hard to leave it here.
I can't do too much of that. I can't. It's painful.
All Maria wants for all of this is to have a plaque and a picture of Paul beside it. Maybe then, everybody who didn't get the chance the first time could meet him. He was one of a kind. Mike Castellucci, Channel 8 News.
Football and Friday nights. Priceless memories for most. But on one East Texas fall night, when football and fear collided,
it's just one of the worst feelings I've ever felt in my life.
No one could have predicted the outcome. Gladewater High School.
With Macbeth, they gave him direct, this is what's going to happen.
In Coach Clark's 7th period advanced English class, they're studying Macbeth.
Banquo is going to be a casualty of Macbeth's ambition to become king.
Senior Caleb Williams reads the part of Banquo.
You seem to understand me, by each at once heard choppy finger laying.
It's his favorite class. Ironic that someone who loves being in character at one point had no clue about his own. September 18, 2015, Gladewater at Carthage. Williams having the game of his life in a tight contest. Then a dramatic turn. The collision on this fourth quarter play didn't appear damaging, but the impact, massive.
I was nervous. I was anxious. I was scared.
And we have an injured player from Gladewater, but he's come to our sidelines. He may be woozy.
Then he went back down, and he was out.
And when I got there, I saw that he wasn't moving. His eyes weren't open.
Unconscious for 2 or 3 minutes, and when he came back to,
No, I was terrified. I felt alone. But whenever I looked up and opened my eyes, I didn't recognize anybody.
The ambulance has arrived now on the track, and looks like they've got an IV started.
The next couple of hours were frantic. The local hospital wouldn't admit Caleb, so he had to be care flighted in a chopper like this one to a nearby hospital in Longview.
We're showing about a 15-minute ETE here facility with a 17-year-old male patient, a high school football player with a suspected closed head injury.
I was going in and out of consciousness.
He is fully immobilized.
His parents, unable to accompany him in the helicopter, had to make an excruciating hour-long drive just to get back to their ailing son.
It was just agonizing, and not knowing what was going on.
Doctors worked quickly to diagnose the extent of his head trauma. Caleb recounts the most telling moment.
Whenever they asked me what my name was, I was like, I have no clue. I have no clue what happened, how I got here. And then, next thing I know, they're calling me Idaho, Idaho.
When trauma patients can't identify themselves, typically they're assigned a color or state name to have something to put in the hospital system.
Idaho, Idaho. When I saw that on his wristband, I knew he didn't know who he was.
It was just a crazy feeling, like not even knowing your name, just sitting at the hospital with nobody.
That night here at Bulldog Stadium in Carthage, they knew it was bad, but no one could have imagined the lasting impact of Caleb's injury. The end of his football career was only the beginning, because on that night on this field, Not only did Caleb lose the memory of what happened in that game, but every other game he'd ever played, every moment with his family, even his junior prom, 17 years of memories, everything he'd ever done and everyone he'd ever met, gone in an instant.
I was nervous. I was scared. I didn't want to play sports ever again.
Caleb's support system kicked in. His mother is a nurse. His father works with brain trauma victims. He missed about a month of school while they guided a scary reintroduction into Caleb's own life.
But I know it hurts them to know that I don't remember anything about them. I mean, 17 years that I just don't know about my whole family. I mean, I know that hurts them. It hurts me for them. They told me the 2 bunny hoops. And you just twist it. But yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
Football's off the table, but his parents made a surprising decision to some. After doctors gave the green light, the Williams allowing their son, who'd been through so much, to return to his first love, basketball.
It may not make a lot of sense to those outside looking in, but it's our faith.
That leap of faith made even greater by this fact. A concussion sustained while playing basketball in 2009 caused Caleb's older brother Josh to lose his memory for a year and a half.
Don't even worry about it. Put all of it in God's hands, and that's what I do every game.
Back to your starters here.
Caleb's style of play adding another layer of trepidation to his return. He only knows one way, an all-out attack towards the rim. Come game time, nerves get frayed in the stands.
Williams with the basketball. He's going to go up with his left hand on a fast break. Here goes Williams, fast break opportunity. Jagger Haney goes up and trying to defend.
Caleb may have lost his memory, but his muscle memory is completely intact.
There it is, wide open. There's Caleb Williams with a three-point shot there. Caleb Williams kind of high-flying there on that fast break.
On this night, Caleb puts on his usual show. Seemingly without fear, he repeatedly drives the lane, pouring in 36 points in a blowout win.
He's taking a couple of spills. You doing okay?
I'm doing okay. He's falling on his back and not his head, so I'm okay with that.
Caleb is leading his region in scoring with 31 points per game. His production propelling the Bears to their first district title in 14 years.
He's a tough kid, you know, and with me, you know, I'm on his side, and I just want to continue doing what he's doing. Give it back to him.
I think it was those prayers at that football field.
Good. Back down.
That gave me the opportunity to be who I am right now.
Caleb still can't remember anything before the hit, but that hasn't slowed him on the road to recovery.
Because I know that my memory will come back. I feel it'll come back. I mean, my brothers came back a year and a half later.
And now he's miles away from Idaho, Idaho.
I got faith that it'll still come back. Even if anybody else doesn't, I know it will.
Ezekiel Elliott's going to Dallas.
Mississippi State, I'm sure I wasn't number one on their recruiting board, so it really doesn't mean anything. Can learn a lot. I mean, he's a great quarterback. Pro Bowl guy's done a lot for this organization. So to be able to come in behind him, follow him on and off the field will benefit me a lot.
Come in and sit and learn from a guy like Tony, and then maybe he develops over the next couple of years.
Snap to Prescott, deep to the middle, caught in the end zone, bumper to the post, touchdown. Snap is back, quarterback draw, walk the dog. Prescott up the middle, touchdown. Play action, boots to the right, screen right, little room, 20-yard line. Zeke, a move to the 30, Zeke the sideline, Zeke to the Steelers 30, 20 and 10 and touchdown. And how about that? Snap is back. Four-man rush. There's a deep back shoulder fade to the goal line to Dez. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Dez.
I feel great. I feel like I'm ready to go. But yes, the window's now, and it's that way for the entire organization.
I am excited. Had visions of Sugar Plum, seeing that number 9 roll out there for our practices.
I love the culture of our team. I love the character of our team. One of the reasons why we're so optimistic about this 2016 team.
I see that character coming to bear this year.
The special thing about our game is that it can bring a community together. It can lift you up when you're down. And I think a few weeks back when we had the tragedy in Dallas, I thought the Mayor Rollins and Chief Brown just did an unbelievable job of kind of using their platform to stand up. And so today was all about that.
I know I love to compete. I love to see how good I can be. There's a challenge in that every day and every year. And for me, it's about getting to a point to You know, one day in your career you get to be that version you always wanted to be, but you got to wear it out for years.
We're always trying to help our team get better. For now, we're going to give Dak Prescott and Jamel Showers plenty of work. We're excited to give the guys who have in camp an opportunity right now.
Because we've got a great team, great vibe. We're getting along very well, and we've got the players to do it. I've learned a lot, and I've got to give credit to my coaches. I mean, every single one of them. Then obviously Tony Romo and the older guys, the older receivers, the dads, Jason, just all for teaching me, and I'm just trying to be a sponge and absorb all of it.
And the ball's at the 24. Romo with a play fake. Screen right, Beasley. Romo back and looking, and a great pocket, and throws it out to Witten over the middle of the field. Prescott in the gun. Little late blitz. Back to throw. Deep fade. Left side. Bryant at the 1. Is he in?
I initially got on the field. The lineman told me it's another day of practice.
The guy's a student of the game, man. You know, you got to give him credit. You know, the guy's pretty amazing, and, you know, just got to keep being there for him, man. Smart guy, man. And a hell of a football player.
Under pressure, Romo will go down. He's holding this back. Oh, my.
Well, that's not a good start right there, guys.
Adversity is part of the game. Injuries are part of the game. You come to work the next day.
People are going to bet against him. That's fine, you know, and I don't think that's unfair to do so. But if you know what he's about, which everybody in this building does, he's going to be back sooner than probably expected, and he'll play better than anybody ever thought he would.
We're going to focus on who can help us beat the Giants, and obviously we're not naive either. Dak's had a great preseason, but that's what I just said, preseason.
George Teague is carrying the American flag out the 8. Prescott under center. Elliott behind him. Handoff Elliott right up the middle. Cuts to the right to the goal line. Walk the dog for the first time. Zeke Elliott's first NFL touchdown. Dak back to throw. Great protection over the middle. Witten at the 14-yard line. Back to throw. Throws it out right. Caught. Get out of bounds. To the 40-yard line. Into the field of play.
He makes our team feel good.
We had high expectations, and I thought he met and exceeded expectation.
Really liked his poise, his composure, his decision-making throughout, how he handled a lot of different situations in the game. Gave us a chance to win the ball game at the end.
1, 2, 3, Cowboys! Split left, Breland on him, 2nd and goal. Back to throw, good protection, runs up out of the pocket, runs to the goal line, leans it in. It's a touchdown.
I'm just excited to get that first win. It was a big team win, most importantly.
Left slot, 3rd and 2, looking standing, wings it down to the 5, a strike, and banging in for a touchdown. And wings it right, back shoulder caught, touchdown. Scott throws it to the end zone, touchdown.
But as I've always said, it's not my call.
Fade, right side of the end zone, touchdown. It's a touchdown.
This is Tony's team, and I'm here to help my team win each and every game that I can.
Nothing I'd rather do than go into the last half of the season with a ready-to-go Tony Romo and a winning Dak Prescott.
To say the first half of the season has been emotional would be a huge understatement.
Touchdown, Zeke Elliott!
Getting hurt when you feel like you have the best team you've ever had was a soul-crushing moment for me.
Prescott keeps, pylon, touchdown!
He's earned the right to be our quarterback.
And he goes deep for Dez, left side, caught it, 10-5, touchdown!
I think you all know something magical is happening to our team. I think Dak knows that I have his back, and I think I know that he has mine.
Up the middle, he's gone! Zeke's gone! Goodbye, Zeke! Touchdown! Elliott behind him, Prescott back, fade, left side of the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
We just kept battling, we kept fighting. Foundation of what we try to do each and every day with the Cowboys. I thought it was on display tonight.
1, 2, 3. Going to hand it to Perkins, coming on the left side and running into Sean Lee. A lot of people run into Sean Lee.
I hate to lose. It's a bad feeling.
I thought our defense did a great job giving us opportunities throughout the game.
And they're going to give it to Elliott, coming left. There's a big hole from Leary and Smith. And Elliott walks the dog and jumps into the Salvation Army red kettle.
You know, I saw it in warm-up and I was like,
There's been a lot of great teams in this organization. I mean, the greatest franchise in all sports. And so to have an opportunity to win 14.
Touchdown to Witt!
I think that's the biggest thing, just having fun with the people you love, having fun doing what you love. And, I think that's the beauty of this game.
For that play, and Witten throws up the X.
Things took an unexpected turn in my life. A series of injuries led to my retirement. I didn't cope well. I numbed myself. I didn't know who David was without football, and it led to a spiral of a downhill decline that ultimately led me to rock bottom. Never had I been so scared in my whole life. So I just numbed myself. It wasn't long until spending $2 to $3 grand a week, pain medication, anything I could get just to make sure I didn't go into withdrawal. I did a 7-day detox in Seattle. I lost 34 pounds. I had 2 seizures. I remember opening my eyes and there was a cold plate of tuna casserole that lay on the table right next to me. So as I stood, pushed myself up, and a tremor short-circuited my stability, and I fell powerlessly. Crashed hard onto the tile floor. And I'll never forget the sound of the plate shattering. Talking about playing in the NFL weeks prior to not being able to hold a plate, not being able to sit up. Because I was so embarrassed, ashamed, humiliated. And I remember I was on my hands and knees and I was trying to scrape up lumps of tuna casserole and broken plate in my hands. And yeah, the nurses restrained me because they thought I was trying to use the plate to cut myself. That was my lowest point in life, but I got through it, and I came to Dallas, my new home. That's when I started the gym for pro athletes, and eventually I met and started training the amazing veteran, Travis Mills. And started training Travis, and I watched breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough for both him and for everybody else in the gym. That's when I recognized, hey, look, this is my purpose. My purpose is to help these individuals that thought that optimization or physical competition was no longer on the table for them. Driving home late from work one day, wife's yelling at me, almost an hour late. Kids are screaming, she's dealing with it all. Getting up to a light, and I recognized that I could book it through this strip mall, through a Starbucks parking lot, and hopefully beat one stoplight to get home a whole whopping 30 seconds faster. But at this point, every single second that passed was a negative for me and my wife in this case. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a wheelchair. And right then I turn, I take a quick glance, and I see there's a guy with no legs, but I turn back to my driving, and in that moment I felt this deep tug on my heart. Something telling me, you have to stop and talk to this man.
I was in the Marines.
So this is where I met Brian Aft.
We were deployed to Afghanistan.
I literally got out of my car as fast as I possibly could.
We were crossing over an irrigation ditch, and when my turn came, me and my dog jumped over.
Brian's truck was right here. He was here in his wheelchair when I parked right there and rushed up on him, and I remember him sitting here thinking, I assume he was thinking, oh God, how am I going to take this guy out?
And as I was pushing off the ground, kaboom.
And I said, look, when did you get blown up? And from that moment, I was amazed because he didn't say much. Like, he literally probably only said 5 words to me.
I'm bad about just trying to bottle it up and shove it to the side. And
I didn't know that he was going through the biggest battle of his life. He had just gotten out of detox. He'd been severely addicted to heroin, and he was going to bed every single night with a pistol next to him.
I'd probably be doing a lot of drugs until I just killed myself, pretty much. And that's honest.
Brian didn't even say yes. I'm not sure that he said yes, but I asked him to come to my gym and train at 10 a.m. the next day.
I don't want pity, sympathy, anything. I mean, I'm just a dude trying to be a dude.
It was hard work, but he kept coming. We were always there to help push physically and emotionally.
You can still make things pretty awesome for yourself, especially if you have a really good support group and people that care about you.
And ATF has given him reason to leave his house, to move forward, to plan for a future.
His mom saw the change, and so did I. And we just bonded. Brian became like a brother instantly to me. I've often thought about where Brian Aft would be if we hadn't met in this parking lot that day. God told me to stop that day. I can promise you that that tug on my heart was a spiritual speed dial directly from our higher power that told me, because believe me, the last thing on my mind was trying to do more work. But when you recognize that your gifts match the needs of others right in front of you, it's not by your choice. Your choice is to listen when that call is made. And I chose to listen that day, and I'm so happy that Brian Aft is still here and that Brian Aft isn't a statistic, because that statistic sucks. And suicide sucks. And if more people recognized that they're here and that purpose for them comes through building into others, this world would look significantly different.
It's pretty incredible watching that. I mean, you know, a guy's never done it before. They're throwing the prosthetics up inside of a harness and they're running on their hands. You talk about a cardio workout right there, man. That's conditioning like nobody's business.
That's Blake Watson, retired Marine Corporal and a good friend of Brian's.
I've known Brian for a very long time. We were patients at Brooke Armory Medical Center in San Antonio.
So I met Brian in the parking lot, and then Brian called Blake the day after our first workout and said, hey man, I got a gym for us. He brought Blake down, and instantly it was like one of my buddies from high school. I mean, I have Blake, former athlete, just a ton of similarities in how we approach life.
I'll never forget sitting in my room one night telling myself that I was going to die in 6 months or end up in jail if I didn't fix my problem because of the pain pill addiction that I had. And about 3 days later is when Brian called me and told me he had met this guy. He wanted me to come work out at his gym.
Yeah, Blake ran foot patrol one day in Afghanistan, and when he turned to pivot to look back and clear an alley for his guys as he ran point, he knelt down on top of an explosive device. And that IED blew, and it sent him up in the air.
Couldn't feel anything from my belly button down. That's the point I realized that it was me that blew up. I was in total shell shock, so it was just all I heard was like wind blowing and my ears ringing. I saw boots running all over the ground in front of me, and it was just a dust cloud everywhere. And I remember trying to roll over, and when I did, I couldn't move. I couldn't move, and I was just like, that's it. Like I'm done. I just wanted to close my eyes and just let it be over. And the second that I shut my eyes, I heard this voice in my head that said, "Not yet. I'm not finished with you." There was a reason that I'm still here, and I believe that very much so. So I put that on my arm, that I was saved by His grace on December 14th of 2010.
But Blake, Brian, and I, so many of these warriors especially, or people, adaptive athletes that have gone through traumatic injury, we've all dealt with some type of addiction. And it may just be temporal inside of the hospital, and then you have to kind of wean yourself off if you got it, or like Blake, Brian, and I that said, look, I don't care what I put in my body, I just don't want to feel. Because I felt at this level before, and that's what being truly alive felt like. And so you try to find yourself in this cul-de-sac looking to get out, and it spirals out of control.
Going through all the pain and the trauma that I did, there was a lot of painkiller, a lot of opiate medications, as well as a lot of anxiety, depression medications.
I never thought I was going to get out of it. Spending every single day trying to figure out why I even needed to wake up that day.
I don't care what brought you to this place. It's a place that you can come and be completely raw, unfiltered, who you are, pain, darkest hour, brightest hour, whatever it is. This is a place where you can come and you can become a better version of yourself.
30 days I was clean, off of all the drugs. I was back in the gym, I was working out, new sense of purpose.
It's not about sympathy. It's not about what just happened. It's about what's gonna happen, because you hold the keys to your life. And that, as soon as Brian figured that out, and Blake figured that out, when Blake figured out that he could serve, but no longer pointing a rifle, when he could serve by pointing a lens of a camera, he could tell other stories, that's when I feel like Blake took a very pivotal swing from being a consumer of the ATF program to being the glue. Get to Blake. As soon as you get to Blake, you're done. It keeps everything binded together.